Let's turn our attention now to the European Union. Its top court has dismissed a legal challenge by a Western Sahara independence group against a trade deal between the European Union on one hand and Morocco on the other, covering agricultural produce and fisheries. The court says that these agreements do not apply to that disputed territory. The ruling will diffuse some tensions between the two parties, which emerged after a lower court ruling about 12 months ago, which ruled that the trade deal should be scrapped altogether. The EU and Morocco have been in talks since 2013 on an updated, more comprehensive trade deal. The two sides have also have relatively close ties on political and security issues, but in a move that was welcomed by the Polisario Front, an Algeria-backed movement that seeks independence for the Western Sahara, the court ruling did reaffirm that the EU does not recognize the region as part of Morocco's territory. Let's head live to Brussels now. Elena Casas joins me now with more data on this particular story. Elena, now that the EU court has ruled that this trade deal as constituted does not apply in any way, shape or form to the Western Sahara, does this now mean that the EU Commission has to put in rules of origin specifying where goods are coming from so that they can avoid any legal liability should produce from the Western Sahara end up in European supermarkets?
Well, the ECJ ruling still means that the EU-Morocco trade deal as it exists now would be illegal unless Morocco can ensure that none of the agricultural products coming into Europe from Morocco have been produced in the Western Sahara, which we know that some of them are. We know that some fruit and vegetables grown in the Western Sahara region, actually by a company that's majority owned by the Moroccan royal family, are being imported into Europe. Now, those imports, now the ECJ rules, are technically illegal. Of course, this is a huge setback for Morocco, even though it doesn't throw the whole trade deal out necessarily, because it will now force Morocco to show the EU that it's distinguishing which imports are coming from the Western Sahara in order to comply with EU law.
Indeed. So representatives of both the EU and Morocco immediately after this ruling said they will work together on any issue arising from the application of this trade deal. But what exactly does that involve in concrete policy terms?
Well, it's hard to know. This is much more a political than a trade issue, really. The EU, and especially its foreign policy spokeswoman Federica Mogherini, are extremely keen to keep Morocco and its government on the EU's good side. Of course, relations almost broke down completely in December 2015 when the ECJ initially ruled that the EU cannot recognise the Western Sahara. Morocco broke off diplomatic relations with the EU for a few months. They have now been re-established, mostly because the EU is such an important trade partner for Morocco. About 2/3 of its imports go to Europe, worth about $37 billion a year. And for the EU, it's very important to keep Morocco on side because of migration, because the EU has been paying up to €1 billion a year to Morocco in aid to help, essentially, Morocco reduce the number of people seeking to reach Europe on leaky boats across the Mediterranean from Morocco. The numbers of people making that journey have reduced fairly significantly as a result of this EU aid, and the EU certainly would not be keen to see that agreement break down and migrants start arriving in Spain from Morocco. So for political reasons, the EU won't want to see this trade deal collapse.
Indeed, some fairly interesting real politics there. Elena Casas live in Brussels. Thank you very much.